Recently I sat down to watch the Nintendo Partner Direct. There was some cool stuff announced.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
There were some weirder looking things announced, and then at the very end, I saw Endless Ocean Luminous. Now, I saw this and thought, whoa, that's fucking cool. After a quick Google, I soon realised that I'm an idiot. This isn't a new IP, this is a pre-existing franchise. There's been 2 games already, and I had no idea, both for the Wii as well. So off I zoomed onto Vinted and picked up a copy of the first Endless Ocean for the grand total of about £3. And you know what? I had a good time.
Let your arms enfold us.
So this, my friends, is Endless Ocean. After opening the game up, listening to that godly theme song at the start, and quickly creating my character to end up looking like Robert Pattinson in the Batman, I got straight into diving. Endless Ocean is a game developed by Eureka, published by Nintendo, and was launched on the Wii in 2007 in Japan and Europe, and in Australia and America in early 2008. It is a scuba diving game, as you can probably tell from the footage of this video so far. The developers behind this game are actually really interesting. The founders of the company, Eureka, were the creators of Street Fighter 2, and then they went on to do Street Fighter EX and that franchise. They created Tetris 99, Super Mario Bros 35, Pac-Man 99, they've worked on the Dr. Mario series, as well as other Tetris titles. Basically, they're pretty fucking cool. Now, for those of you that know me already, either through YouTube or just in real life, you'll know that I fucking love fish. I go fishing a lot, and I've spent a lot of time on this channel covering fish-related games. So, really, Endless Ocean is a game made for me. But honestly, it's just alright. That's the best way I can sum up my experience playing this game. It was just alright. As a creator, the best thing that I could possibly have when making a video on any game is for one of 2 things. For the game to either be really, really good, or indescribably shit. And unfortunately, Endless Ocean doesn't really fall into either of these categories. It's just sat slap bang in the middle. There's parts of it I like, there's parts of it I don't like. But it just wasn't that interesting. Anyway, let's actually talk about the game. So, to start off with, the controls. Now, the controls are simple, they work, I just wish there was more options for them. Your diver is entirely controlled by motion. When you're not swimming, to make the diver turn any direction, you point your Wii remote left, right, up or down, and they will simply spin or twist in that way. To swim, you just hold B and point the Wii direction and point the Wii remote in the direction you want to go. If your finger starts getting tired of holding down the B button, you can also just press minus to infinitely swim until you press something to cancel it, which is a nice added feature because my finger did start getting tired quite quickly. Please don't take that out of context. Anyway, other than that, when you interact with the fish, you can just prod them by pressing A, or you can hold the A button and then press the B button down and move your Wii remote, and you can stroke the fish. Which sounds all nice and cute and all, but that's not quite so ideal when you're face to face with a hammerhead shark, and then you just start stroking it like it's a dog. Which brings me nicely onto the next part of the video. Now, this game does take some creative liberties with some of the fish and animals in the game, which is fair enough because it's not obviously real life, but it does also serve as an educational game, so, make your mind up. By this, I mean the region the game is set in. It's set in a fictional sea in the South Pacific, where such things such as manta rays and sea turtles are available for you to see quite early on in the game. Now, that's fine. Now you assume, oh, hot waters. Now, not shortly after this, I encountered penguins underwater, and then the weirdest of all, after I'd finished a dive, I got onto my boat, and there was just dead-ass a polar bear just fucking sat there on the boat. Friendly, obviously, because that's what they're known for. Ha 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 ha. All round, just some really bizarre choices for the creatures in the game. I don't have an issue with it by any sense of the imagination, it was cool to come back out the dive to see a polar bear on the boat. but in the context of the world, it just makes absolutely no sense at all. And also, I would have run the f*** away. Now, graphically, Endless Ocean isn't anything to write home about, but bearing in mind this was a 2007 Wii game, I really do think they did the best they could. The Wii wasn't exactly known for its graphical capabilities, but in the hands of the right developers, you could still get some great performance and amazing visuals out of it, which I think Eureka has done really well here. I had no issue playing it, I still think it holds up now. Provided when the new Switch one comes out, it obviously already looks a lot nicer, and I will probably just play that, but my point still stands. One of this game's strongest points is also one of its weakest points. The game is very relaxing, but on the other hand, it's almost too relaxing to the point where it's actually just boring. There's no real clear game objective until a few hours into the game, and even that is to just look at some whales, basically. So for a scuba diving adventure game, there's a lot of scuba diving and just not very much adventure, but what little substance they do have is actually quite interesting. So whilst it is lacking substance, this game does actually fill quite a niche that was missing in the video game market for quite some time. A lot of games revolving around fish out there are actually based on fishing, like Sega Bass Fishing and other such titles, including fishing simulators, so it's always nice to see a game dive more into the, pun intended, into the world of scuba diving. Now, I must divert quickly just for a second. Now, I know I have said this game can be boring, but there was one moment when I was deep into cave diving where something did actually scare the shit out of me, and I just want to show you.
Is this it? My death? Oh, it's beautiful.
Now, this game actually fared alright critically as well. On Metacritic, it has an average of 72 out of 100, which they deem as mixed or average, and the user score is 7.8 out of 10, which is deemed as generally favourable. Now, a lot of the critic reviews do bring up similar points to what I've raised here in terms of being almost too relaxing to the point of being boring, and there not being very much adventure to be had. Although don't let their words put you off trying this game, because it is an interesting experience. It's an educational experience, and it's a relaxing experience. The way I see this game is in the same kind of niche that I saw Africa for the PS3, which I've previously made a video on. It's not the best game on planet Earth, and it's not going to be for everyone, but it's definitely worth trying, and it does fill a really nice niche in the market. Now, this game does have some really cool features to it as well. One really cool thing you can do is get partners to go diving with. Now, your first partner is this dolphin, and it gives you the option to name it, and I thought I'd be really cool and name my dolphin Steve, and I was so tired when I did it, I didn't even spell Steve correctly. Which is just a bit embarrassing, really. Your partner will follow you around for the most part on the dive, and you can interact with them in the water, as well as teach them tricks when you're out of the dive, so it's quite cool. It's just like a nice additional feature to put in the game. Something else this game features that not many did at the time was the ability to put MP3 files on an SD card on the Wii and import them into the game to listen to whilst you were diving. Now, only one game had done this before, which was Excite Trucks. Now, this doesn't really sound like much now, because obviously we can just sit and listen to Spotify or iTunes whilst playing games, but at the time, it was quite a revolutionary concept, and also I can imagine some of the results were quite chaotic. Now, sales-wise, according to VG charts, the first Endless Ocean ended up selling just over 1 million copies, and as I mentioned earlier, did go on to spawn a sequel called Endless Ocean 2 Adventures of the Deep, or Endless Ocean Blue World, depending on where you're from. This game scored a little bit better with the critics and sold also just under 1 million, so still did pretty well. And if you guys want to find out more about it, then I'd love to make a video on that one too. Now, I do think that the new Endless Ocean coming out soon will probably outsell the first two, just because it's got a much bigger chance and a much wider audience than it did the first time round. Obviously, the internet was still around when these games launched, but I feel like the community for Nintendo and for the Switch is just a lot bigger than the Wii was, which probably sounds really ridiculous, but watch this space. I'm telling you, it's gonna sell more than a mil. More than a mil. Anyway, so that takes us to the end of our journey through Endless Ocean. What do you guys think of this game? I personally did enjoy my experience, although it isn't my favourite game on the Wii. It's certainly very ambitious and it's a very cool concept, and I'm very glad to see that it is returning to the Switch. Now, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications for future uploads, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye bye.